Hello, boys and girls. This is chapter 4 of Ali Baba. Today, we are taking the words on the left and we are going to find the meaning on the right. So we have protested, threatened, enchanted, flushed, and deflated. Collapsed or contracted. Think about when a balloon goes smaller, what does it do? It got deflated. Subject to magic. Think of like a forest that has magic in it. What is it normally called? Yes, an enchanted forest. Disagreed with something. Disagreed. Well, if you disagree, you can protest something. To be a source of danger. Source of danger, that would be threaten. And redden, like when your cheeks get rosy, you are flushed. All right, so you need to read these sentences and figure out which one of these words goes in the sentence. All right, here are your questions. You only have to pick 2 and answer them on the back. Why did Ali Baba think the afternoon at the Fishbones would be wasted time? So it's going to be about Ali Baba. Ali Baba thought the afternoon at the Fishbones would be wasted time because why did Ali Baba want to get Valerie to kiss Farah? Who is it about again? Ali Baba. Ali Baba wanted to get Valerie to kiss Farah because how did Valerie outsmart Ali Baba? So this one's going to be about Valerie. Valerie outsmarted Ali Baba by... How did Valerie feel about the name Shishirazda? Wow, that's a mouthful. So this one's going to be about Valerie again. Valerie, instead of feel, is going to be felt. Valerie felt blah, 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 blah about the name. We're just going to call her she because it has a she at the beginning because I can't pronounce that. So Valerie felt, then you put your answer, blah, 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 about the name she. All right, let's get into the chapter. Chapter 4, Ali Baba and the Princess Farah. One Sunday when Ali Baba was 8 years, 9 months, and 19 days old, his parents took him to visit the Fishbones. The Fishbones were friends of his parents and had a daughter named Valerie. Ali Baba had never met Valerie, but she was his age. At least that was what Mrs. Bernstein had told Ali Baba when they set out for the visit. They hadn't been at the Fishbones 5 minutes before Ali Baba learned Valerie's true age. She was 7 years, 2 months, and no days. He had been tricked. The Fishbones had an unusual name, but they seemed quite ordinary. Ali Baba hoped his parents would be ready to go home soon. He didn't want to waste an entire Sunday afternoon. I know you're going to enjoy playing with Valerie, Mrs. Fishbone told Ali Baba. She's very good at games. She even beat me at Scrabble last week. Mrs. Fishbone turned to Ali Baba's mother and said proudly, "Did I tell you that Valerie's reading scores are in the 99th percentile?" Ali Baba didn't know what that meant, but it didn't make him feel any better about Valerie. "Valerie, why don't you show David your games?" Mrs. Fishbone suggested. "Ali Baba," he corrected her. Mrs. Fishbone looked puzzled. "Our son has chosen a new name this year. Mrs. Berenstain explained. He didn't want to be just another David. Reluctantly, Ali Baba followed Valerie to her bedroom. She had the usual games: Monopoly, Clue, Chinese checkers. Nothing very exciting. She also had a whole shelf lined with dolls. Ugh, what a wasted afternoon, he thought. Then he noticed a small glass tank on the chest of drawers. Inside, there was some dirt and a couple of small rocks. A tiny green frog perched on one of the rocks. Can I pick him up? Ali Baba asked. It's not a boy, it's a girl. Her name is Farah. Valerie removed the netting that covered the tank. Be gentle, she said. Don't frighten her. Ali Baba took the tiny frog in his hands. Its body expanded and deflated as it breathed. Its eyes blinked. That's enough, said Valerie. Put Farah back in her home now. Just a minute, protested Ali Baba. He set the frog in the palm of his hand and examined its tiny legs. The skin was smoother than it looked in pictures of frogs. It was a really neat pet. Suddenly, Farah gave a leap, and tiny though she was, she covered a huge distance. She landed on Valerie's bed. The bed was covered with a quilt that had a pattern of flowers. For a second, Farah was sitting on a pink petal, but just as suddenly, she jumped again. She must have landed on one of those green leaves because Ali Baba couldn't see her. If you don't find her, I'll hate you forever, Valerie threatened. Ali Baba didn't particularly care what Valerie thought of him, but he didn't want the little frog to get lost. There she goes, shouted Valerie. I got her, said Ali Baba, but he didn't. I got her, said Valerie, but she didn't either. The frog jumped onto the floor. The rug was pink, so Farah should have shown up well, but the pile was so deep and the frog was so small, it was hard to spot her except when she jumped straight into the air. On one of those leaps, Ali Baba managed to catch Farah. Here, he said, handing the frog to Valerie. She probably was dying to get some exercise. Oh, my darling, cooed Valerie, stroking the frog. Were you afraid? What was there for her to be afraid of? Asked Ali Baba. Girls are really silly, he thought. Then he remembered a story he had once read. Did you ever think that maybe Farah isn't a frog at all? He asked Valerie. Of course Farah is a frog. Anyone with 2 eyes can see that, said Valerie. Oh, something can look like a frog, said Ali Baba. If it has been enchanted becoming a frog. But Farah could be a prince. A prince? Didn't you ever hear the story of the Frog Prince? Asked Ali Baba. It's about a handsome prince who was turned into a frog by a wicked witch. Of course I know that story, said Valerie, but Farah is just a plain, ordinary frog. She's not a prince. Did you ever try? Asked Ali Baba. Try what? Asked Valerie. Kissing the frog. Valerie stopped stroking her pet. I could kiss her, she said. I might get germs or something. Then you'll never know, warned Ali Baba. Farah might really be a handsome prince. He might have looked like Christopher Revere or John Travolta before the enchantment, and you never cared enough to find out? He might even die, and it will be all your fault. Valerie looked very uncertain. I found this frog on a trip to Bear Mountain. Suppose I hadn't found it. Then what? Then some other girl would have found him, said Ali Baba, and she probably would have kissed the frog on the very first night. Instead, he's had to sit in the dirt, and eat bugs. If you love him, kiss him, said Ali Baba. Slowly, Valerie lifted the hand that was holding the frog closer to her face. She looked at the frog and frowned. It can't be a prince. There isn't any more magic nowadays. Kiss the frog, Valerie, said Ali Baba. Valerie took a deep breath. She brought her hand toward her mouth and puckered her lips and kissed the frog. Nothing happened. I made you kiss a frog, said Ali Baba said, grinning. Valerie flushed. You should have seen your face, he said, and you thought it would turn into a prince. No, I didn't, Valerie protested. I knew it wouldn't. It's a girl frog. It needs to be kissed by a boy. Then it will turn into a princess. Fat chance, said Ali Baba, backing away. There's only one way to find out, said Valerie. She handed the frog to Ali Baba. Hey, that's my game, said Ali Baba. This is a female frog, said Valerie. I took her to a pet shop and they told me. She's been waiting for a boy to kiss her and end the enchantment. My father couldn't do it because he's already married. You must break the spell for her. Come off it, Valerie, said Ali Baba. Let's put the frog away and play one of your games. You want to sit and play a game while this poor princess is sitting in the dirt? You really are a mean person, Ali Baba. Luckily for Farah, my cousin Lloyd is coming to visit next week. He's older than you and better looking too. Farah would prefer to be a princess for him and not for you anyhow. How old is Lloyd? Asked Ali Baba. 10, practically 11. Actually, said Valerie. Ali Baba thought for a moment. It couldn't hurt to kiss a frog. It might be an interesting experience. Why not? Gently, his lips brushed Farah's skin. Nothing happened. Ali Baba put her back inside the tank and rubbed his lips on his sleeve. At least Valerie didn't laugh, he noticed gratefully. His mother brought eclairs because you and your parents were coming, she said. Do you want one? Sure, said Ali Baba. He wanted to get away from all this kissing. Farah stayed in the tank while Ali Baba and Valerie went into the kitchen. They each had a big chocolate-covered, custard-filled pastry and a glass of milk. Have you ever thought of changing your name? Ali Baba asked Valerie. Why should I? Well, said Ali Baba, don't you think it would be exciting to pick a new name for yourself? A special name that might help you have special adventures? Like what? Asked Valerie. How about she, her, does? I don't know, we're just going to call her she, suggested Ali Baba. She Fishbone? It has a good ring to it. Valerie grinned. I like it, she said. I'd bet I'd be the only person in any percentile with a name like that. Ali Baba Berenstein and She Fishbone finished eating their eclairs. Maybe it wasn't such a wasted afternoon. Maybe it wasn't such a wasted afternoon after all. All right, that was chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed it. So why did he think it was going to be a wasted afternoon? Why did Ali Baba want to get Valerie to kiss Farah? And then how did Valerie outsmart Ali Baba? So how was Valerie smarter than Ali Baba? And how did Valerie feel about her new name that Ali Baba suggested? All right. Remember, you only have to answer 2 on the back in complete sentences and fill in the blanks. Nice job, boys and girls. We'll see you tomorrow.